All right, gentlemen, it's a new era. We're starting to take charge of our own lives, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. Some are calling it the soft guy era, but whatever you want to call it, it's long overdue. And in that spirit, I want to give you 3 tips today. 3 things you need to do before taking a woman out on a date. Let's get to it. Number 1, you need to check out her social media. Of course, you want to look for the obvious red flags, things like trashing her ex or raging about men in general. But you also want to be looking for subtle ones. Things like when she comments on other women's videos or cheers those women on when they're saying those very same things. You also want to see what she posts on a regular basis. Does it fit your goals, your lifestyle, your personality? If it doesn't, my friends, you're wasting your time dating her. Because in the long run, if those things aren't in sync, your relationship, it will never be in sync either. For example, let's say she's posting half-naked pictures of herself on Instagram or those other places. And that doesn't fit the type of person that you want to be in a relationship with. If that's the case, you have no business dating her. Move on. Because the truth of the matter is, she isn't going to stop now, and she certainly isn't going to stop if you get into a relationship with her. Because she's always going to be looking for that dopamine hit, the one she gets from all the likes and comments from other guys. And if I'm being totally honest, it's not fair of you to expect her to change that. It's who she is. If she's made that choice to, let's call it, show herself off, that's her right, and it's not your place to tell her it isn't. There's plenty of other fish in the sea. Move on. All right, number 2, you want to check her financials. Just like women like to say that they want a man that can provide for them, aka has money, well, gentlemen, it's fair of us to expect the exact same thing from them. We all know it. Women universally say they want a resourceful man with a good job that can be a provider. They have for decades and do so now, make it very clear. It's the number 1 criteria that most of them have. In fact, for many of them, it's the only criteria they have. It's why most women will tell you they'll never go out on a date with a man who doesn't have a job or who makes less than a certain amount, usually around $100K. Well, gentlemen, why shouldn't we hold them to the same criteria? So you want to find out what her job is, if she even has one, and how much money she's making in that job before you consider dating her. Your criteria should be that she should be able to provide for you and the household in the very same amount that she expects you to provide for her. So if she requires you to be making $100,000 before she'll date you, well, then it's only fair that she also has to be making $100,000. But I wouldn't stop there. Oh no, my friends, you need to go a step further. I'd ask to see her credit report. Why? Because so many of these women who've made money their main priority, the biggest criteria they have for a man, are dead ass broke. And they're looking for someone to pay for their credit card bills and that lavish lifestyle they've been living and expect to be able to continue to live. They're looking for that patsy. So if she doesn't have a credit score of at least 700, hell, I'd argue 750, then move on and find a woman who does. Otherwise, you're going to end up struggling all your life to make ends meet, to pay her bills and fund that lavish lifestyle she demands you provide for her. And number 3, you need to ask to see a picture of her without any makeup on whatsoever. Let's be honest. The biggest lie that women tell men is their makeup. They hide behind it because they want to show you their very best self. And honestly, that's fine. But here's the reality you need to face, gentlemen, if you start dating her or get into a relationship with her. You aren't going to get that made-up, fabulous her every day. Oh no, my friends. About 90% of the time, you're going to get the unmade-up her. That beautiful princess you met on that date isn't going to be who shows up at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night after a long day of work. Oh no, the princess you're going to get then is the one in a ponytail, ripped t-shirt, and sweatpants. Now, there's nothing wrong with her coming to bed like that, but you need to see her for who she is in those moments, because that's the real her, not the facade she's trying to show you when you go out on a date with her. And asking her to show you a picture of her without any makeup can be very telling in another way. It's a great way to see just how self-confident she is. If she's willing to send you that picture and show her true self, then you have a confident, self-assured woman on your hands. The kind men want and deserve. But if she hesitates or outright refuses, well, that's a pretty good indication you've likely got an insecure, high-strung woman on your hands. One who will constantly be seeking validation and reassurance from you that she's perfect, and the minute you don't, she's going to toss you aside like yesterday's newspaper. As I said in the beginning, it's perfectly fair, and if I'm being frank, long overdue that us men have these expectations, because they're the very same ones that women have. In fact, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I actually based this entire video off a woman's video where she laid out these very same 3 rules and proceeded to tell women that unless he, and I quote, exceeds, not just checks off all these boxes, he isn't worth dating and you should just move on. So ladies, if you've watched this video and you're all upset about it, if your emotions are now raging and thinking it's unfair for men to do things like this, well, I hate to break it to you, but these are your rules, and we men are now applying them to you. We're going to hold you to the very same standards you've held us to. As the saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Drizzle, drizzle.